I'm not a doll collector. Oh, I'm no longer a doll collector. I'm not just a doll collector. What am I? Sorry for the little existential crisis, but I'm not leaving the hobby, I promise. But what is going to happen is I am going to change in how I engage in the hobby and what parts of the hobby I engage in. I don't want to revisit 2025. Let's say some things happened. I want to focus on 2026. And usually Corey's standing next to me. And last year we did one and we had plans, and then we did explain that we were going to try to slow down some aspects, and 50-50 on whether I actually accomplished most of those things. Grab a beverage. It might be a little long. I want to talk about doll collecting. So 2025, like I said, I'm going to try to stay away from that dangerous subject, but there were some very real ramifications, alterations, and effects on not just a global level, not just a business level, but a personal level. And toward the middle of that, toward the end, I was having feelings. And one of our regular meetups with a couple of doll friends, and we were talking about it, and they were experiencing feelings too. And one of them said something that was very smart, and it just really hit home to me. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase because I wasn't, writing it down when they said it. But when a hobby becomes about acquisition rather than engagement, and you lose the resources to acquire, whether that's time, space, money. I'm also going to add accessibility, because there are companies that left us, retired, or discontinued shipping to my country, the United States. But when you can no longer take part in the acquisition, it can leave you feeling disconnected from the hobby and the community. And that hit the nail on the head. And it led me to questioning, what am I doing? And Corey and I even had discussions. What is the shop doing? Why do you have the shop? Why are you doing the things that you're doing if you're experiencing stress and anxiety and you're not experiencing the joy and fun and creativity? A lot of self-introspection. We didn't do a lot of videos for YouTube. A lot of stuff got filmed, but for whatever reason never got edited and posted. I found myself not putting or not sharing some aspects of my hobby because either low view counts, or we would lose a few subscribers or followers, and I would internalize that for good or for bad. That's my personality. When it becomes that, then you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for someone who honestly doesn't think of you, or, and I have friends, real friends, that I've made in this community, and I cherish them. But this was never about monetization or celebrity or renown. January is going to be a month of letting go of a lot of things. and a reset. If you're watching this in the future, we had a sale. It was an inventory clear out. The discount level is just enough to cover the transaction fees, the shipping costs, and buy new materials, replenish. No profit, zero profit. We have made enough to renew our store for another year and our domain, because we do that annually in January. So Kit and Kat Shop will exist through 2026. We'll revisit in 2027. But we are going to be focused more on miniatures, dioramas, and smaller scale dolls. 1/6, 1/8, 1/12. I got into dolls because of making miniatures and dioramas, because the idea was that the dolls were the occupants of these worlds. And somewhere along the line, it shifted around 2020, 2021, and it became less about the worlds and more about the occupants. It's sort of like you get into baking bread and you're excited to bake bread, and you find all these recipes to bake bread. And one of the things you find out is that there's these beautiful cast iron pans that you can bake bread in, and you buy the cast iron pans. And then you find out that there's skillets and there's griddles, and you start amassing this collection of cast iron cookware, but then you never cook. And you find yourself wondering why you're hungry. And that's kind of what happens. But my joy and my heart has always been in making small, realistic, tiny objects and sharing still images of those. So for the future for Kit and Kat Shop is less focus on any specific doll or line of dolls or artist, and more on scale. We are going to continue the patterns for the 1/3 scale dolls, the smart dolls, and that. There's already patterns out there that I have done for the 1/4 scale fashion dolls, like the Grace, the Tonners, the Jeans, the Fashion Royalty. You'll start seeing those show up on Kit and Kat Shop for patterns. I also have an archive of patterns I did in 1/6 scale and some of the Playline dolls, and you'll see those show up as well. We will continue the Smart Doll no-hole jewelry with a caveat, as long as supplies last and components are available and affordable. We're not getting out of the jewelry business. That's Corey's note. But I wanted to remind you guys that we do have our basics. Those are the hoops, and we have the kits with the studs, and we do also have what we added last year, which is the personalized items. We have the ability to engrave metal, so we do have a lot of pendants. We have bracelets that we can personalize for you, for your doll to wear their name or your name, etc. Plated items are not done in the United States. They are done overseas. They are then sold to wholesalers and distributors in the United States. As a small business, we do not require or cannot order sufficient quantities to justify buying directly from the people who make the components and electroplate them. So we buy them from a distributor in the United States. They have to pay tariffs, and they pass those costs on to us. So the components have gone up because of that. Another issue is the plating we buy are items that are plated with silver and with gold, and it had been before 18 karat gold. Well, if you follow things, commodities, stock market. Gold has been increasing and silver has been increasing. And at the end of 2025, silver has made a huge jump in cost valuation. So what happens is when the platers plate the stuff, the cost of those components is determined by the cost of the precious metals used at the time that they're made, which means those components have gone up. Some platers have decided to try to reduce the amount it has to go up by making the plating itself thinner or using a lower quality of precious metal, which means they will tarnish more. We receive items that are basically on our quality control we can't use. So say I buy 144 of something and I have to throw 15, 20 of those directly into the trash because they're just unusable. They've got lumps of metal on them. The plating is so thin that the base metal's shining through, that sort of thing. Magnets are becoming more expensive. The raw minerals only come from a very limited source, and that has increased their costs and has also affected their availability. When you use a small manufacturer and they have a limited amount of supply, what usually happens is they will try to make sure they can fulfill orders from their largest buyers first. And if a small buyer does not have enough demand, you get put at the bottom of the list, and sometimes they say, sorry, I don't have enough material to supply you because I need to use all of that to supply these larger orders. So that's the reality of the situation. And at this point, it's not a matter of trying to find another source that has a lower tariff, etc. And things are delayed. And again, some just aren't shipping to the United States at all. And that also affects the large-scale props and furniture that we were intending or were making for 1/3 scale. Some of the materials we needed to use for that scale to be in scale and look proper, those quality items became unavailable, or we couldn't get the quality that we needed to use safely with our tools. Things like knots and glue and things like that. Corey and I have discussed that the 1/3 scale items, basically, as he put it, on a whim. We will not be investing time and resources and research into developing items that have a very low demand and have such a high cost to offer. This also kind of affects some of the 1/4 scale stuff as well. So the 1/4 scale stuff will be more limited. Since there is such a limited market, when we started this in 2019, there were a lot of photographers, world builders, and people were telling stories with larger scale dolls. And as time, the economy, and things have changed, a lot of that demand for the 1/3 scale items and 1/4 scale items has gradually decreased as people have left the hobby or pivoted and changed their hobby, or again, like me, don't have the time, don't have the space. We will be introducing some new things because Anna's been playing with them as well. We will be introducing props and furniture for 1/6 scale, and a big thing is the introduction of 1/12 scale, because there are a lot of figures, small BJDs, independent artists making smaller BJDs and dolls and figures for the 1/12 scale. So we will be introducing some diorama kits so that you can build your own spaces, and I will be doing a video on those and how they work and how the kits work, and furniture and accessories for play with those dolls. So basically the 1/12 will have our dollhouse people, but then we also can introduce these to our friends that have smaller dolls. Because we do the dioramas and the photography and the stories, I find that it's not about just having one cup. That's fine, but what goes in the cup, what goes with the cup of coffee. So you will see, as in the traditional miniatures world, you're used to seeing a set of something or a grouping of like items or items in a theme. So more like the artist set that we did for the 1/4 scale that had the brushes and the paints and the palette. I think that there's more play value in a set like that rather than just a single cup or a single brush. There will be a couple of additional items that you will see when you go to our store, a couple of other places to visit. We did add this year a section of ready-made items for the 1/3 scale dolls. I am a maker. I never stop making. My whole family's the same way as well. So I buy one skein of yarn, but that's usually, I can get 2 sweaters out of that minimum. And I don't like to waste. And especially now that these supplies have become precious, harder to come by. And I don't like the idea of not using every viable amount. I also have the issue of what Corey calls sable, which means stash accumulated beyond life expectancy. And looking at the birthdays I have before 60, I kind of realize I'm getting dangerously close to that. So kind of one of my New Year's resolutions is stop saving it and use it. But these will be random drops. They will not be announced. They will not be in any quantities that you can expect. I'm not trying to create a FOMO situation. I want you guys to be aware that it may only be one sweater because that's what I had left. Future community engagement. We do not have any plans to attend any doll conventions or doll events as either a vendor or as an attendee. Everything in this life comes with an opportunity cost. It costs you time, it costs you resources, and it costs you money. And in my case, it costs me energy and health to do things, everything. There's an opportunity cost for going to work. There's an opportunity cost for engaging in a hobby. There's an opportunity cost for running a business. And with the economic situation such that it is, with our personal lives, things outside kit and cat shop, the opportunity costs have become too high for us to engage in those activities for the foreseeable future. Also, again, as a vendor, we have come to realize that what we do is not the focus of a doll focused or doll centric event. There are overlaps in the hobbies, but it's not commercially viable for us to go through those expenses when we're not able to engage fully in the focus of that community or that group. We will have increased engagement back again with my old miniatures groups, my diorama groups, and focusing on those. You will see decreased engagement, and you probably have already this year, in doll groups that are primarily focused on sharing collections and new acquisitions. I will be focusing more on groups and social media and that engages in more the DIY aspect of dolls, specifically outside of dioramas, for sewing, crafts, photography, and art. Speaking of social media, we'll come to the YouTube channel, which you're watching now, which you probably guys have all dropped off and aren't watching anymore. So, for the two of us that are still here, you'll see tutorials for some of the complex kits. An example would be Corey's Japanese lanterns that light up. He did a very nice step-by-step tutorial for that, because we know, being neurodivergent, some people learn by reading, some people learn by watching, and some people learn by doing. So for those complex builds, not only will you have instruction sheets, but we will try to do a video tutorial so that you can have success doing that. As far as sewing and knitting, kind of did a really good series on the basics of sewing for dolls, and that was definitely geared to novice sewers, and you actually get to make a project with us on the sewing videos. The knitting video was more examples and explanations of how my idiosyncratic brain works and how the patterns are designed. So if you see sewing tutorials, which you will, it'll probably be more along the lines of like the Curdle project, where I went down a research rabbit hole and decided I wanted to make a historical garment, like the Mystery Marie doll that we did, which was the 1870s to 1890s. You may see some like the no circle skirt, where I showed you the different ways to use the pattern to get different looks from the same item. Recently, I redid the cargo pants to make these kind of K-pop inspired extra wide pants, and I am working on showing you guys how you can take that pattern and alter it. So that's what that will be. There'll be some shorts that are basically just diorama tours, so you can enjoy just looking in the little mini world. Some process videos, not so much step-by-step tutorials, but kind of almost like an ASMR. I used to really enjoy those. I had some Facebook artists that did that. It wasn't really a tutorial, but you got to kind of enjoy their creative time as well. And some of the photo stories, Corey likes to do those. Limited box openings and reviews of doll related content. I can't not buy a doll, so I fall victim like the rest of us, but that's going to be very limited content, I think, for 2026. We're not focused on monetizing this channel. This channel is simply to let you guys know things about the shop, changes we make to the kit, how to install it in the new dolls, and really it's just about sharing a hobby, a love of craft and DIY. As such, I cannot promise you a schedule for uploads for this YouTube channel. I know that's really weird, but I can't sit there and tell you we upload every Tuesday, Friday, whatever, every fourth blue moon, every month. My ADHD and anxiety just can't do that. And I don't want to make content just to make content. This is a good source if there's any major changes and you're not following us on Facebook. We don't use former Twitter. We are on Threads. Mostly that's just so I can have fun watching other people make things. And Instagram. So we have, because the template comes with it, our shop does have an email list you can subscribe to, but we never send emails that way. Number one, it's spammy. Number two, we have to pay to send you guys those emails, and that's like paying for bulk mail that you're just going to throw in the trash anyway. If we need to tell you something about your order, we will contact you by email. We do use a Gmail, because generally Gmail is the fastest. I can have that on my phone. It's accessible to me. So, like I said, this channel is mostly just so we can have some parasocial engagement. Ordering from the shop, because they did mention the subscription list. Accepting patterns, items on our shop are going to be made to order. Almost all of them are already. That means it doesn't exist until I get a printout saying you want it. And lead times are determined by the type of item. If you order jewelry, the lead time is typically 2 to 3 days. And I'm going to make a caveat here. Days is business days. And that's dependent on complexity. If you have a very large order, or I've got several orders, I only have so much room that I can glue and bend wire and make components. So some days it goes out the next day. But please, 2 to 3 days is going to be normal expected times. 3D printed items that are not ready to go, those take generally 5 to 7 days, depending on the finishing level. That is because our 3D printer is very sensitive to environment, temperature, and humidity specifically. So if we have bad snow and it's really cold in the basement, I may not be able to get it heated for 24 hours. Also, that requires sanding. Some items require painting and sealing. And the sealing, especially if it's a very humid day, well, it will take forever for it to dry. So those are 5 to 7 business days, depending on complexity. If anything happens in those 5 to 7 days, I will let you know if it's going to be delayed. Okay? I want you to get your things. You gave me money. I want you to get your things. 2D items, that includes like all the things cut on the laser, the furniture, the diorama kits that we're going to be doing, those are 3 to 5 days. They don't take as long, but it does depend on the materials and the complexity, because some materials have flaws in them and I might have to recut it, or I have to go and do some maintenance on a laser, etc. So we're asked for 3 to 5 days to finish those. The exception to this is going to be anything that has been posted as it is ready to ship. And that includes some of the small props, like the 3D items that we've made, the wine bottles, the food items, the knitted items, the sewn items. Those things, small batches, I have a few of them. Those get picked and those get sent, usually within 1 to 2 days. And that's going to depend on what else is in your order. So if you have jewelry, you have some ready-made items, but then you also ask for a diorama kit, it's going to be in that diorama kit, so everything can go together, because that saves me shipping, that saves you cost as well. Okay, we do not process orders on weekends. Okay, there's no mail on Sunday, so even if it's ready, there's just got no place to go. We do not process orders on major holidays. Okay, we will announce any vacations on the very top of our shop, there's this little running news header, and we will try to do that as soon as we know that we want to take 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off and go see family, or if there's an emergency or whatever. So you will see it there. Orders received are generally processed the following business day. So if you send me an order on Friday, I may or may not have time to work on it on Saturday, but it gets started at 6 o'clock on Monday morning. Okay, that is because the shop is, Corey has a full-time job. He's not here. He has to commute to work. He has to commute home. And because of where we live, he's not here during the week. And on the weekends, that's when we have time to do things like go grocery shopping, see family, do things that aren't work related, clean the house, do laundry. And as a promise to my partner who I care about, I'm making the decision and the resolution that I will make sure that I take time away from the shop to be that supportive partner that is there. Okay? And that also means non-urgent emails, DMs, messages, text messages, etc. will be answered the following business day. And I am going to put it in several places so you guys know. My business day is Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay? I'm in the United States, East Coast, 9 a.m. to 3:30. I can't establish this enough. I know that some of you are not in the U.S. or you're on the East Coast or West Coast, and those times may not be the most convenient for live conversations. And I know it's very easy when you see somebody's social media status says that they're online, doom scrolling, to say, well, I'll just shoot you a message. But again, I've got to separate business from home. If I was working my job that I used to do where I worked from home, remote work, I had business hours that I answered the phone for the company, and then when I logged out for the day, I was done. We don't make things that affect, they're not necessities. You know, they're luxuries. They're fun to haves, and it really doesn't constitute an emergency. You know, there's no risk to life and limb if a package has been delayed or something's been damaged. It can all be taken care of the next business day. I know we get impatient. I know with Amazon, we're used to buying something and it shows up on our doorstep the next day. But it's just us. And right now it's 75% me, who's old and tired and needs naps, and 25% him, who has to deal with me being old and tired and needing naps and cranky. So, and that also kind of goes into some issues that I follow a lot of seller groups and maker groups and creator groups. So there's been some things that kind of happened at the end of 2025. So we'll try to be nice about that. But all items leave our shop with tracking. No exception. I don't care if it's a piece of paper or if it's a whole diorama that's finished or doll, it's going to get tracking. We do not underdeclare items if we ship them overseas. Sorry, don't ask me to do it. I'm not going to do it. Nope. The label's printed after the box is packed and sealed. The label is almost always the very last thing I do with your order. It goes immediately to the box. Okay? You get an email the second that label is printed because that tracking number is assigned. Okay? There's a thing. There have been changes over the last, actually technically since 2016, that administration that came back. The USPS has been hiding notifications and announcements on their website. And so the newest one that was announced for New Year's is that items are not postmarked. A postmark means the post office received it and said, yes, I received it. See, it's right here. Does not occur at the point it goes in the box. When I ship it, or it goes to my post office, or I tell my postal carrier, look, I have a box that's going out. They're now saying items will be postmarked when they hit the sorting machines. Sorting machines or at distribution centers. If you live in a big city, that may be the same thing. It may happen within the same 24 hours. We live, it's growing, but it's still pretty rural here. I have a little post office, tiny little post office. I know my post carrier by first name. She got a fancy new van because of us. She used to have a little scanner. So she would take the packages out of the box in front of my house and she would scan them. Ping, 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 ping. And she would put them and she would take the packages that were coming to me and she would scan them. Ping, 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 ping. And then it would say delivered. This doesn't happen anymore. She picks up the boxes or I drop them off at the post office. I have to specifically ask and stand in line and say, give this a postmark manually. And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't do it. It's going to have to wait till it goes to the distribution center. Our nearest distribution center is 2 states away on the interstate. That's 2 days minimum before it's going to be scanned with a postmark. Okay. So that doesn't mean I sat on your package for 2 days, made the label, and never intend to ship it. It simply means that I have given it to my postal carrier. My postal carrier has put it on a truck. It's gone down I-81 and it's got to go all the way to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to that distribution center for parcels to then be scanned and sorted and shipped out. Okay. We have no control once it leaves me. There is another thing.
Hi guys, so I'm going to interrupt the audio on this section of the video. This little rant was about international shipping. At the time of filming, the USPS had an announcement on their website following inquiries from the holidays that Customs and Border Patrol has to inspect all packages coming in and out of the United States. And for us, that is Jamaica, New York. And that Customs can hold packages for up to 45 days without notifying the sender and without updating the tracking. And that while those items are in Customs awaiting inspection, they are not considered lost, they are not considered delayed, and they're not considered missing mail. So that basically means that they are in limbo. However, I am muting this part because today I'm editing is January 4th of 2026, and if you follow the news, something happened this weekend that may affect our ability to ship outside the United States, whether that is sanctions or boycotts, etc. So for international customers wanting physical items, I suggest check our Facebook page, our business page, and we will have updates there. Okay, thank you.
This is important information though, so I really hope you have stuck or fast forwarded or whatever. I may try to put timestamps below if you're looking at this on a computer. I know it doesn't help if you're streaming it on your TV like I do a lot of videos. Also look on our website. We're going to work on some kind of press release, letter from the CEO. um, going forth for shipping, originally we did shipping over 35, just like Etsy does. We changed it to 45, but shipping costs have continued to go up. Packing materials have gone up. We are looking at eliminating the free shipping altogether. I know you guys don't like that. I know people are used to free shipping via the big guys. They can eat that. They also have contracts with Postal and UPS and FedEx for discounts and priority for processing. Us little guys, we don't. So, disclosure here, undiscounted shipping, USPS ground, for one of our average little 4x4 boxes at about 2 ounces is $8.05. That's a lot. We are lucky. We do use either the shipping discount service through the website, or we use another third-party postage company that is reliable, and we get about 30% off. And if you look at your receipts, you'll see the actual cost, and then you'll see it taken off again when we were offering the discount. The reason we're not going to offer free shipping is because the only way to cover free shipping is to include it somehow in the cost of the goods we sell. Our items are very small, very lightweight, so if I break down the shipping, the average shipping cost, and break it into an average item, if you buy one item, I'm paying the shipping and I'm losing. If you buy several items, you're overpaying and that's not fair to you. So you'll see going forward, we're going to make sure that all the items have the correct weight, dimensions, so that the system is as accurate as it can be in determining the shipping costs. You'll be charged that cost, including the 30% or 25% that we get as a discount as a business. So you're not going to pay the $8.05. You'll probably be paying the $5-6 average that it is with the shipping discounts. Shipping through USPS, UPS is based on zones. So if you live in the East Coast, I'm on the East Coast, it's just going up or down. That's the cheapest. Each zone over, it adds a little bit more. So if you live in California, you're going to be paying closer to $5-6. If you live on the East Coast, you'll be paying closer to $4 or $5. If you live in Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, or any of the other U.S. territories that is not connected directly to the bulk of states, that is the most expensive zone. Yeah, Corey says, don't ask for refunds due to delays. Okay, so this is a thing that has been going on, and especially in the holiday season in 2025, because there were weather events that delayed parcels domestically and internationally. There's the customs issue, there's the things. And the USPS has less employees, less distribution centers, less package scanners, less sorters. So they are doing the best they can with what they have. So we're not gonna be mean to our mail carriers. They're doing what they can. But that did cause a huge increase in purchase protection claims through Etsy for my friends that sell on Etsy, for small businesses, even for the big box stores, because of delays. And people weren't waiting for refunds, they were going straight to chargebacks. And I will let you guys know that chargebacks come with an additional fee, minimum of like $15. I've seen 25. The more expensive the item is, the bigger the chargeback is. And when a business gets so many chargebacks because of fraud, because the people did not receive their product, they can lose the ability to sell on that platform entirely. Small businesses don't have purchase protection. And only in a very few cases can we ask the post office that has delayed delivery of an item to ship it back to us. Sometimes they sit there and say, sorry, we can't even look up missing mail if it doesn't fit these particular parameters. It's gone, it's lost. We will try to file claims. We will try to make things right. I buy things online. I'm a doll person. I'm a I'm one of you guys. I don't like it when it happens either. But if you have an issue, please contact us. We will try to make it right. Let's try to be patient with each other. Let's try to be understanding with each other. We can always try to work something out. Just contact us directly, okay? I don't like not receiving things I buy either. I've still got a holiday blanket out there for Christmas as a gift for someone. It's in the wind. But for small creators and small makers, for my people who make dolls, be kind to them. We're all trying our best. So many things happened in 2025. We're trying. We're making an effort to meet our community and be a part of our community. That said, if it's a first-time buyer, you have no order history with us, you order something, and despite all the disclaimers, you file a chargeback, I don't want you as a customer. I'm not going to honor any future orders. They're going to get canceled. That sounds awful. And somebody said that was a bad attitude to have because I didn't want to take their money. But that's not a kind of person I would want to associate with anyway. That's kind of, yeah, how that goes. So, yeah, you're going to go on the no soup for you list. So, that was everything. The bad news, no more free shipping. Don't buy through Amazon. USPS is kind of messed up. Good news, we're going to be making more things, fun things, more creative things. Bad news, we may not get to see you in person much in 2026. But good news, you can always email me, say hi, make a comment below. If you say something really bad, I might, erase it. But and then go have a cry and complain to Corey. Don't make me do that. Be nice, okay? And that's really at the end of this long beat video. I'm looking forward to trying to look forward to 2026. Creativity, sharing the new things with hobby communities, reconnecting with old hobby communities, maybe bringing the new one with me. We wish that 2026 brings you health, happiness, stability, and safety. May we all be our best and kindest versions going forward into 2026. And that's all I got in me, guys. Bye till next time.